Good morning and welcome to Wild Wednesday here at the Kansas City Zoo. My name is Allison and I'm your host, and today I'm joined by Heidi and Meredith and Scout in the Tropics building. So, who exactly do we have back here inside of this enclosure?
Right now we have two white cheek Gibbons.
Okay.
We have Smithers, who's the black one over here, and he's a male. And then this is Kit, who is our female.
Okay. And are males and females generally these colors, so it's easy to tell them apart?
Yes, when they're first born, whether they're male or female, they're going to be a cream or a yellow color like what Kit is, so they blend in with mom's fur. Then when they get to be about 2 years old, they'll switch to the black color like Smithers is, whether they're male or female. And then they'll color change again when they get to adulthood, or sexual maturity at least. The female will change back to the cream color and the male will stay the black color.
Nice. All right, that's a lot of changing, but that's all right. It works out for these guys. Now, I know that there's a lot going on in this exhibit. It's a multi-species exhibit, so who also lives inside of here?
We have 7 Asian small-clawed otters.
That's a lot of little paws.
Yes. They're from the same region of the world that the white cheek Gibbons are from, Southeast Asia. And they coexist very well in this exhibit. However, the otters can be very distracting, especially with 7 of them all whining and climbing the fence and trying to bite the Gibbons on the butt in order to get their training treats. So we elected to keep them inside during the filming, and we'll let them out right after we're done.
I like that. I like
it's
that.
Better for all involved.
All right, so we are doing some training today, but first let's just talk about the animal that we're actually seeing. So you mentioned that they are Gibbons. Now Gibbons are apes, right?
They're a lesser ape, so they're in between the monkeys and the great apes. We have Gibbons and Siamangs, are lesser apes.
Okay, so I noticed they don't have the tail, so that's how we know they're not exactly a monkey, which makes them very different. But it's fun because as you watch them move, they swing through the trees a lot like a monkey, which is so interesting.
If you look at their hands, you'll see they do have a thumb, but it's way down on the hand, and then the fingers are very long and thin, and that's so they can make them into a hook and brachiate, and the thumb is not in the way then when they go branch to branch, vine to vine.
So would they spend most of their time up in the trees?
Yes, they stay in the rainforest canopy most of the time.
Perfect. So we see them right now using it to cling on, especially as they're nibbling on treats, but they're nibbling on treats for a very specific reason. We're doing some training today. So what does it involve doing? What does it mean to train a gibbon?
What we're doing with these guys is training them for body presentation, which is having them put different body parts up to the mesh where we can get a really good look at them. So we can inspect injuries, wounds, any kind of physical condition. If we need to look in their mouths to check out their teeth or their tongue, anything like that. Eventually, we may be able to do vaccinations or things like if one was ill and we needed to do a shot of antibiotics, we may be able to do that by having them just put their shoulder up to the mesh. And then also with Kit, we're training maternal behaviors, which will help her be a good mom if she reproduces.
Because these are a mating pair, correct?
Yes.
Very cool. So training, a lot of people think of training as something fun, or maybe they classify them as tricks you would see in a show. But for here at a zoo, at an institution like ours, training is really important, it sounds like, for medical reasons.
Yes, it's just a husbandry practice that has many benefits for both the staff and for the animals. So Smithers right now is being naughty and he's having a temper tantrum because he was trying to reach through and pinch her when she was feeding him. So she had to stop for a minute and give him a timeout, kind of like parents do with their kids if they're acting up.
So that brings me to another question. Why do we have to train through the mesh for incidents just like that?
Well, these animals might look like they're cute and cuddly, but they're actually very powerful and they have very long canine teeth. They are super fast and they can be extremely aggressive. So we do not go in with them.
That's very important to know. A lot of people do think that they're an animal that, it's so cute, but our friends at the zoo here, they are wild animals. Now, we've talked about how they do this training for medical reasons especially, but do these guys react the same to training, or do they kind of have two different personalities when it comes to doing these kinds of things?
They have very different personalities. And it may differ between who's training them at the time.
Okay.
Or it can be just their mood for the day. Sometimes, just like people, sometimes they're in a bad mood and you can tell really early on that they're not feeling it, and it's better, instead of just frustrating them and yourself, it's better to just say, okay, today we're not going to do it. They're not in the mood.
Yeah. And how is you as a keeper, how are you able to tell if they're having a good time or they're enjoying the training or they're just not having the best time and they need to be alone?
Again, not too different than looking at a kid, where you're seeing, are they paying attention to what you're asking them, or are they kind of looking everywhere else and just kind of offering up behaviors that you didn't ask for, or being cranky like Smithers is being right now. His vocalizing he's doing is a cranky sound that he makes when he's displeased with something.
Now, how many years have both of them been involved in the training here at the zoo?
It's been, well, Kit hasn't been here that long. She's only got a couple years of training at this facility. Smithers has been trained off and on for over 5 years.
Wow. So do you guys, is this something you guys make a part of your routine in taking care of these animals? Like, how often do you train?
It depends, again, on staffing levels and what else is going on in the building, that we're, if we're hand raising something or, something that cuts down on our time, we won't do it as much. But we try to do it at least a couple times a week.
Yeah. And you said today this is kind of a special setting for training.
Yes.
Usually the setup is a little different. So kind of describe that for our friends at home.
Okay. Usually, to kind of limit frustration, we will separate Smithers. We'll put him on the other side. They can go up over that overhead, and he can hang on the back mesh, and the keeper can climb up into the plant bed back behind and train there to keep them out of each other's sight. Sometimes that really helps them focus. Other times they get to worrying about what the other one's doing, where they're at, whether they're getting better or more treats, and they'll run over and check it out, and then they'll come back. So we'll only let them do that infrequently, because they need to do their job and be focusing on what's going on.
They're a funny pair.
Session.
All right. Now, you mentioned sometimes they get jealous of treats. What kind of treats are these guys getting during these training sessions?
Okay, you're gonna cut Smithers off now. Because he just was being really aggressive, and we're not gonna continue with the session for him when he's doing that. Luckily, Kit is the dominant animal, so he can't interfere with her too much, because she'll kick his butt.
Wow.
So, that's normal for the Gibbons. For this Gibbon species, the females are the top dog.
Wow.
They are in charge. You can see she's bigger than him too. So
she is, yeah.
She can whip on him if she needs to. And see, she's like, get out of here.
So she's the one following instructions, and she kind of puts them in place a little bit.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What was your question that you asked?
It was asking about rewarding, but it's good for people to see that we don't reward certain behaviors here at the zoo. So.
They like sweet things, of course, grapes or raisins. It can be dry cereal. It can be part of their diet, or it can be the extra special stuff. We might, if we're trying to train a really hard behavior that they've been working really hard on, and they finally, make the connection and do the behavior right, we'll have maybe a piece of sugar-free candy available to give them as a jackpot type thing, but normally it's going to be diet stuff.
Absolutely. And it's good for people at home to know our keepers know exactly what they should be eating. No treats or candy need to be thrown into this enclosure or near it. They've got very long fingers that can grab things pretty easily.
Yes.
Well, it's been really fun watching these guys today. This training session, I hope it helped people at home learn a lot about what it takes to train animals like these. They are cute and they are fun, but this is serious business here at the zoo, and we're glad that we're able to afford these opportunities so that when it comes to having medical procedures and getting checkups and things like that, we can really help them out when it comes to their medical care, which is awesome. So thanks so much, Scout and Meredith and Heidi, for joining us here at the Tropics building with our white-cheeked Gibbons. You guys, make sure you come by the Tropics building and join us. We'll see you next time for another Wild Wednesday. Bye, guys.